So what would be your top five?
That is an excellent question, Dan, and I'm going to answer it right now. Stomping into the number 5 position with a groovy pair of sequined heels. It's Boogie Nights. I can't keep this up. It's Boogie Nights. Look, I know people love Magnolia. Hell, I mean, when I was at university, I did. It felt like a proper grown up film for proper grown ups, which, spoiler alert, I wasn't. Not to mention the soundtrack was amazing. It was constantly on rotation, never left my car glove box. But let's be honest, despite some high points in the film, and as discussed with Dan, a career best for Tom Cruise, it's really flawed. It's overly long, and to be honest, it pales in comparison to the multi-character tapestry that is Boogie Nights. See, Boogie Nights, it just feels like it was made with love. Love for the characters, the setting, the time period. It takes hold of your attention early on and it keeps hold of it. It adapts certain influences and is more adventurous than Hard Eight. It shows directorial growth from Paul Thomas Anderson. It features great time period, aesthetics, camera work, tonal shifts, and performances. And yes, I'm talking to you, Mark Wahlberg. You shouldn't be ashamed of Boogie Nights. There are plenty of other films in your history that you should be deeply ashamed of, but Boogie Nights is definitely not one of them. Alright. Stacked on top of a table full of pudding at number 4, it's Punch Drunk Love. I'll be honest, when I first watched Punch Drunk Love many moons ago, I really didn't care for it, not at all. But having watched it again, it's really grown on me. The complexity of Barry, Anderson's use of colour, his use of space and continuous movement, the relatability dressed in really unusual situations, and John Bryan's chaotic, weird, Baroque pop stampede of a score. There's honestly so much in Punch Drunk Love that I initially didn't understand or appreciate. On one hand, you can look at this as the most underrated superhero origin story ever. On the other, you can see it as an oddly charming introverted romance, and as a skewed look at personal growth. It is by no means straightforward, but it is incredibly charming and rewarding. Okay, you ready? I think I am, I'm not sure. Percolating like homemade hooch or a keg full of lies, courtesy of Scientology. And number 3, it's The Master. The Master is a lot of things within a single film. It's just the one film, but there's a lot going on in it. The main crux of it, the core for what I really love about The Master is the fact it's fueled by 2 absolute knockout performances. Both of them are entwined in a relationship that's just really treacherous and twisty. More treacherous and twisty than an auditing session. The Master is, quite frankly, borderline masterpiece. The archetype of the wayward son and the dubious patriarch, it's a complex power struggle that it's kind of light on narrative, but it's rife with character and interpersonal politics. Plus, it's got a really rich colour palette of dark blues, greys, greens. It's got a killer use of focus, and let's be honest, some top-notch cinematography all around. It's gorgeous looking, and understandably, like a number of PTA films, it's not for everyone, but for me, it's one of his most finest accomplishments to date. By the way, you're not hearing things. That was the sound of someone with what seemed like a chainsaw. I'm not entirely sure. Probably like a grass cutter, but it could be a chainsaw. Who knows? What anyone is doing wielding heavy tools in this heat, I don't know. But hopefully that's the end of it. Hopefully Leatherface has gone inside for some lunch. For the hungry boys looking to fill their tum-tums with cinematic sustenance, it's Phantom Thread. Okay, so I won't lie. The top 2, it is a photo finish. It is really that close. If you were to ask me tomorrow, there is a really good chance that I would actually nudge Phantom Thread up to the top spot. But now, for this, I think, it's number 2. But it is a really close number 2. There's a lot of reasons why I love Phantom Thread. I mean, for starters, it orbits around a central relationship that, quite honestly, makes Freddie Quell and Lancaster Dodd look relatively normal. Dare I say functional. It's an utterly believable relationship that's delivered with just a great sense of nuance and sort of unspoken truth from both Daniel Day-Lewis and Vicky Krieps. Both of their performances, from top to bottom, are fantastic, but especially the non-verbal performances, the sort of silent looks, the gestures, the responsive mannerisms, and just watching them work together, it's like trying to figure out a puzzle. It's a relationship that it unfolds like a sort of melancholic ghost story. It's like an ethereal fable, and it ranges from like mysterious to macabre with this real slow burn approach, just filled, as I say, with moments of like haunting silence that genuinely really leave an impression on you. In fact, the whole thing is like a ghost story. It's like a twisted gothic romance, like a Grimm's fairy tale that's been poured into the perfect time and setting, all of which is just amazingly amplified by just how gorgeous the film looks. Everything in the film is just something to behold, from the costume design to the color palette to the overall aesthetic that's been captured on 35mm Kodak. It's just incredible. Kind of like the film itself, really. Alright, number 1. Are you ready? Because to be honest, I don't think I am. But here we go. I'll be there for you when the black rain starts to fall. Doesn't even fit the melody. That was horrendous. Yeah, sorry about that. It's There Will Be Blood. That's the film. It's my favourite Paul Thomas Anderson film. Yeah, it was just dismal. Sorry. With its arresting compositions and stunning cinematography, it's a film that presents a tortured vision of the American dream. Technically, visually, and thematically, There Will Be Blood is exactly what many hail it to be, and that is a masterpiece. It's a sweeping tale of rivalry, ruthless determination, and the price of a man's soul, all of which is punctuated by a calculated, sinister, and, let's be honest guys, at times downright pant-wettingly terrifying performance from Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, if the man wants to drink your milkshake, if he is that adamant to drink your milkshake up, then heed some advice, leave it on the table, and leave the room. Paul Dano is no slouch in this either. For those of you who maybe are not too familiar with Paul Dano's work, one, you should rectify that, because the man's a pretty great actor to begin with, but jeez, he knocks it out the park in this film and is a great sort of reflection of Daniel Plainview. Again, like Phantom Thread, there is a real sense of mystery between the characters and within the characters, although you see very sort of repugnant and awful sides to them, and you see like a sort of rotten core in each of them, there is also a sense of mystery to them too. The genuinely menacing tone of There Will Be Blood, it just gets under your skin right from the beginning of its prolonged silent intro, which, by the way, I know some people really dislike, but it's amazing and they're wrong. Anyway, it gets under your skin from that silent intro, and it only digs deeper as the film progresses. Add to this the weird, jagged, again terrifying off-kilter score from Johnny Greenwood, which just really digs in and amplifies the atmosphere of the film. The use of lighting and framing throughout, especially to emphasize both environment and non-verbal communication from the characters, and you have, in my humble opinion, Paul Thomas Anderson's best film and his benchmark film. This, for me, is the bar which he has set himself. Will he be able to top it? I don't know. But I do look forward to seeing his future attempts.